Hey everybody, it's me, Hugh. Just introducing Royce Hamer. He's here from the Canadian Anti-Corruption League, and Royce, it's good to have you here.
Thank you,
Always
Hugh.
good to have you here. Got to get rid of the corruption somehow, and you're spearheading the movement here in
We're going
Canada.
to discuss that. I'm doing up to who knows how many, a minimum of 50 shows, each one on a certain topic that is either a problem in Canada or a result of corruption or stupidity, which to me, is a way of hiding corruption. Claim you're stupid and nobody thinks you're corrupt. And you see that in politicians all the time. They won't answer questions anyway, but we've got the solutions. It may have to be modified, but we do have solutions for many of our problems. Today, I want to touch on poverty in Canada and the homelessness and what caused it. Nobody in government or whoever is in charge of these problems ever addresses the root cause.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in industry, everything we did was root cause analysis because production was too important to ignore.
So yeah, you know what? It's I mean that's a great place to. I mean, I've seen in my life, like we used to not have homeless people.
That's right.
In fact, I'm not from Toronto. I'm from Welland.
Niagara Falls, Welland, yeah.
Yeah, but I remember one time we had a guy all of a sudden was seen downtown in a shopping cart, and everybody just called him the bag man. But he was, it was a unique phenomenon that he kind of became famous because he was the bag man. Kind of like the first.
Well, he's obvious. It was a new thing. I don't know what. Well, again, at one time, people actually gave handouts, bought meals, provided meals for what they call beggars, or bums, or hobos. They've always been around, but they moved around, but they were looking for work. The problem with right now, the homeless phenomena is a product of our food industry. When you don't nourish the body, and I'm talking now about the brain, you end up with issues. There's when I was young, many people, seniors, took in mental patients, and I got to meet a lot of them because my mother would hire them to do some house cleaning because she was very busy with I call it farm activism, organizing farmers to get fair market value for the product. There was in my little town, a place called Myrtle, there was at least three homes. Some of them had quite a few patients. Others had one or two, maybe three. But that was a source of income, but also allowed them to function in the society. They went to the church dinners and so on with everybody else.
Yeah.
And they fit in.
And they have a home.
They had
and a family that cares for them, or at least looking after them.
Now, with again, back in the 50s and 40s, we had different food than we have now. We had nutrition in our food. Right now, some of the food that we're giving to people, you're probably better off chewing on a fence post because there's no nutrition in it. North America is very famous for being the largest population in the world with people dying of malnutrition on a full stomach. Everybody thinks they're eating well because they're not hungry, but they're not getting any nutrition. And I'll bring up this one. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. That's a very famous saying. Nobody knows where it comes from. I do. 1863 was the first time we found it written down. 1863. Really? That's when it was written. Believe it or not, agencies in the States like Smithsonian, maybe other colleges, universities, have samples of food from those days. About 25 years ago, somebody decided to test the apples today against the apples they had in storage from those days. The answer came back. You needed 19 apples. This is probably in the 70s to match the nutrition of 1863 apple. Well, I've been saying that for years, and then people, I got ridiculed for it. I didn't know what the right response was. Now I'll say, I'll give you $1,000 to prove me wrong, and I'll keep doing that. They did it again 5 years ago. The answer came back 49 apples to match the apple of 1863. Now, apples can be very healthy. Why it was so, keep the doctor away. In those days, they knew that your liver needed special treatment to keep it clean and active. They knew how valuable that organ was. Apples have malic acid, and the liver loves malic acid. It cleans it up. It helps flush it out. We do a liver cleanse nowadays using lemon juice, lime juice, and olive oil. You mix it up, go online, look it up. You do that, there's no discomfort to it, and I've done it several times. You will see greenish stones in the stool a day later. Those are gallstones or liver stones. When you do your liver flush, you also, at the same time, you can't help it, you do a gallbladder flush. Gallbladders problems used to be, they call it the 4F. Female, 40, fat, and something else caused gallbladder troubles. Now we're seeing in men and women all the time because of the liver problems and the gallstones problem. What do? Well, they want to yank out the gallbladder, and it's critical in digesting fats and so on. We cannot live without fats, but there's good fats and bad fats.
Right.
The bad fats are all the ones from seed grains, canola, cotton oil, corn oil, sunflower. Those are never meant to be consumed in the quantities we are.
How about peanut butter, like peanut oil?
It's not quite as bad, but it's definitely not on the good list.
Okay.
The other problem with peanut oil is because of the other dietary issues, people are allergic to it. So you could cook something in peanut oil and end up with an anaphylactic shock and gone.
I just remember I went ice fishing once, and we cooked up the smelt we caught with the peanut oil. It was pretty good.
Oh yeah. Now, if you use coconut oil, it's a fatty acid, short chain, very healthy,
super healthy. Yeah,
very good. But don't forget bacon, which is lard, and tallow, which comes from beef, and mutton, is what we evolved on, and we have healed people by putting them on these oils. If somebody comes to me and wants some help and they're vegan, I got a problem with them because I can't help them if they don't change their diet.
And Royce, you were telling me that you were cooking some French fries using some kind of animal fat, and they were the best fries ever.
Yeah, beef tallow.
Yeah.
And in one case, a woman called me over to the table, says, "I want to talk to you." Well, I said, "I got 2 more customers and I might have some time." So when I got around to talking to her, she says, "Look at this plate." She says, "I ate half a plate of fries." I said, "Yeah. So what?"
Yeah.
Well, she says, "I can usually only eat a few. I love fries.
Yeah.
But they upset my stomach.
Right.
Why is it that I can eat a half a plate of yours and feel wonderful?" So I said to her, "It's because you're getting a fat that your body recognizes as food.
Right.
You get your energy from fat."
Yeah.
Anyway, she finished up her plate and she came back, 3 more times for her plate of fries. Now, that's because we're using animal fat. And I got a lot of compliments on my fries. At one time, even McDonald's used animal fat.
Yeah.
But the anti-animal, the vegan PETA group put the pressure on them and they went to seed oils. They flavored it, but it's still not good for you.
Right. So
fats, you should get your energy from fat. That's what the keto diet is all about.
Yeah.
That's why it's so successful. It's very similar to the Zone diet, which I was on for a while and I loved it. Then there's the one doctor. Anyways, he was 96 when he died. Anyways, his diet was high in fat and low in carbohydrates. Again, we're getting way too much carbs, but that's the cheapest food available, and people eat it. and they end up getting sick. This is a problem with the homeless again. If you don't nourish the brain, it
Yeah.
doesn't function right. We have a product made out in Red Deer, Alberta called True Hope.
I was just thinking about that,
Yeah,
Royce.
that product has done wonders for people with things like schizophrenic disorder, bipolar, um, all the brain things that kids have, autism, and all the attention deficit thing. If you get the brain working again, now first you have to chelate the toxins out of the brain. That involves basically a body cleanse to start with, and then working your way up. You have to learn a few things. There's books on it. A lady by the name of Carrie Rivera has had thousands of children recovered from autism with basically brain cleanse, then brain food, and oxygen. She uses chlorine dioxide, CD, or CDS, chlorine dioxide in solution. And I have several people dealing with me who have recovered their child. And my God, you talk about happy parents. The kid went from, in the one I have in an eastern province, I don't get any details for their protection. He was totally incorrigible. She called me to ask about chlorine dioxide, and I told her I would not sell it to her until she read Carrie Rivera's book, because there's no point if you do it wrong. She read the book. She got the product from one of my sources. I got an email, I think it was about 6 weeks later, saying that this kid was 7 years old and had never spoken a word. And she had to send me an email saying they say a Spanish prayer at bedtime, and the kid started reciting it back. First words he ever spoke. And they were, I'm going to say, blown away by it. I get a message 2 years later, and he's doing fantastic in school, acing his grades, lots of friends, no behavior problems, and he's been on oxygen and proper diet to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Doctors say she's crazy. Who cares what the doctor thinks? When your child is recovered, it's a big deal.
Well, you think about it too. It's like, I mean, with the soil being depleted like it is, the food not having the nutrients we need it, that leads to mental health issues, that leads to homelessness, but it also leads to economic problems. I mean, just family difficulties.
Homelessness and poverty. When I come up with an idea, when I call it an earned guaranteed annual income, people say, we can't afford it.
Yeah.
I said, listen, do you have any idea what poverty is costing us at this time? If those people were taken off the minimum, what we call requirements for survival, and become a productive part of the community, that's money saving. That's big time. And you talk, then you get into the homeless are in court a lot. Mm-hmm. Some of them are drug users too, but the biggest problem is brain nutrition, and they have a craving for some of the street drugs because it covers up the lack of nutrition.
Yeah, the whole drug problem is related to this mental issue as well.
Related to nutrition, yes, agreed. I can't prove it because I don't have the money to do some very expensive testing programs. But I've seen enough people in my little health coaching practice, I guess you can call it. The recoveries are astounding. People that, again, schizophrenic, bipolar, obsessive compulsive, all these things are brain issues. And all you got to do is feed the brain and they go away. And
that you're saying the True Hope stuff is a really good solution, right? Yep. And I was showing the website there earlier. I'll do it again. But so almost any kind of mental health issue, the True Hope will help with?
Unless it's been caused by a blunt force trauma or,
right,
injury. And even then it can help healing. But don't forget, if you had a stroke, and you can get that person into a hyperbaric chamber reasonably quick, they can come out with 1 or 2 treatments and be completely normal. No paralysis, no symptoms of a stroke, because you're getting the oxygen back into the brain, which has been damaged from a blood clot. And again, good nutrition prevents blood clots.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're getting enough vitamin E, that's a natural blood thinner.
Mm-hmm.
Very gentle,
Mm-hmm.
but natural. And you don't get clotting when your blood is thinned out a bit. The government even gone so far as to ban me, or anybody, I don't do it, but taking a sample of your blood under a microscope and looking for clumping. So when your blood is clumped, it can't get through the capillaries because it has to go through single file. Now, one way of fixing that up is hydration. People don't drink enough water, but even the water, if you look at it, if you have the facilities, normal water is in 12 to 13 clumps of oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a water ionizer, that drops it back to 6 to 8 molecules in a clump, and the blood platelets don't clump together. They don't stick together. They're not sticky anymore. So now you're getting blood through the brain, extremities, eyes, everywhere you need it, because the blood is thinner. I had a chap come to me. He was having headaches. He was falling down. He was having trouble at work. And I ran a scan on him. I have a device and it wasn't conclusive. And then I decided to give him a insulin test, a blood sugar test. And damned if I couldn't get my machine to work. I wasted 3 strips, and it wouldn't show up. So he said he had to leave to get some money at the ATM, and I go ahead. I said, I got to find out what's wrong with this machine. I checked the manual, and it didn't show that code. So I decided to check my own blood. And the difference was his blood was stringy.
Mm-hmm.
My blood was like water. When he came back, I said, I know your problem. And he was a drinker.
Uh-huh.
He was from East Europe. He liked his alcohol. And I gave him a liter or 2 of ionized water to thin his blood. And he got you right back to normal. So his old problem was thick blood.
You know, that's a big problem now with the vax, right? Because people getting blood clotting issues
it's
from
an
that.
epidemic. More people are dying after they've been vaxxed than we're dying from the so-called COVID thing.
Royce, you sound like a conspiracy theorist.
Well, that's what they call you. But again, if that's just a word to discredit people.
Of course it is.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it might be a conspiracy, but don't mention it.
Exactly.
You might, if you think we're conspiracy theorists, feel free to die.
Hey, Royce, I'm just showing while you're talking here. I'm showing your website because
Yep.
You're giving out some great information here. I mean, we're talking about solutions to the homeless problem. We're talking about proper nutrition and food.
Yep.
And of course, food is our first medicine, right? So, and people can. I'm just going to recommend people at the bottom, Canadian Anti-Corruption-League.org.
Yep.
I'm going to correct.
And you can sign. You can get the form off the site to help us form the Canadian Anti-Corruption League political party. Be aware of this. I don't like the word political party, but that's the name of the game right now. So in order to form a party, I have to go through Election Canada, fill out the form, get 250 signatures. Mm-hmm. Please do not think it's a waste of time. Do it. I have just under 100 names now. In the next couple of months, I want to hit the 250.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll, just by having a party with this name, is going to instill some fear.
Yeah.
I don't know how much, but I do know when I worked with the Liberals, back in the late 60s, early 70s, my MP told me if I wrote a letter to them, it wasn't one letter. In those days, it was 75 or 76. They have an algorithm they use.
Yeah.
So my letter was actually 76 letters. That meant 76 people they felt the same way I did. It's up to 186 now.
Same thing's happening there as what's happening with the apples.
Exactly. Yeah, only a little different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So apples was strictly caused by depletion of the nutrition in the soil.
Yeah.
Everybody adds fertilizer, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no nutrition in that. That just makes things grow.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't have any nutrition. Now, if you put sea minerals, and they're legal for organic, in the soil, that apple will now pick up those ionic minerals from the sea minerals that you put in, and now you're getting a good apple again.
Right. But of course, we have to, we can't count on all the farmers doing that. So we need to take whatever we need to take to get our nutrition up to the proper level.
And how do you do that? That's a big problem, because how do you test when you pick up a product at the grocery store? You don't know what's in it.
Yeah.
I mean, they do mention they have an organic label. That simply means it's clean, clean of pesticides. Has nothing to do with nutrition.
Yeah.
Now, if you go biodynamic, which is the next step up from organic, they do stress nutrition. I don't know how they test it or anything. But if we get our organic farm, and I'll mention that in a minute, then we will be using the minerals, the nutrition in the soil. And when your plant is strong, the weeds don't flourish. But even then, some weeds are more nutritious than anything you can buy. Dandelion root and dandelion greens are very powerful medicine. They're also food. Your food should be your medicine. Your medicine should come from your food. We can't do that right now, but there are people aware of it. I have a relative who's got a family of 3. Their food bill is about $500, $600 a week. But I've never seen healthier children in my life, and they're all in gifted class. They put them in, the school said, look, you got to send them to another school where they can promote them. I have another friend who's only got 1 child. He's super gifted, and he's not even out of grade 8 yet, and they're talking about putting him into university because of his math skills and science skills. So again, don't ever underestimate your food. It's so critical.
So Royce, I just want to say, because I'm presuming the people who are watching this right now, they are people who want to do something to fix the situation.
They're proactive.
Right? Proactive. So I would just want to recommend to people to go to your website, which is CanadianAntiCorruptionLeague.org, and just scroll down, as I'm doing now, until you see this blue thing, and people can just click on there.
Yeah,
that's the form that you want them to fill out, so that they can.
And don't forget, when you print this form off and sign it, do not send me a scanned copy. They won't accept it. You have to mail it to me. The address should be at the bottom. Oh, it's not on that one.
Well, it's probably on the.
Anyways, we'll give you the address. I have to send the original signed copy to Elections Canada. So that's very important. And while you're at it, make a few copies and have friends, spouse, anybody who's of voting age can sign it. Now, the only thing you're going to get you may get from Elections Canada is you may get a letter. It will not be a phone call, or it will not be an email. They will send you a letter asking you if you signed that document.
Just to check.
And you check it off. Yes, if you did, and send it back. I think it's self-stamped already.
Okay.
So it doesn't even cost you anything. But they do check up. I was involved in a couple of fringe parties, and they put my name in without my permission.
I see.
And I said, nope, I didn't sign that.
So I just want to say, though, the address is right at the bottom of your website.
Yeah.
So there it is.
Right, yep.
People can just, once they fill out the form, please mail it to Royce, and you've
very
done a good thing to help get rid of it.
You can't imagine how this is going to affect the criminals in our government, especially the politicians, when there's somebody. Do you know the word corruption was only used once in the last 30 years that I can find in the House of Commons? That was the late Jack. What was his name?
Jack Layton?
Jack Layton. The late Jack Layton used it in a sentence that didn't mean much, but he did use it. Anyway, they don't like the word corruption. Now, the other thing to fight corruption, I shouldn't get into it right now, is what we call whistleblower protection.
Okay.
Every country that's better than Canada for fighting corruption has a comprehensive whistleblower protection program. That's how people find out about wrongdoing. That's very important. we had a little bit before Harper was prime minister. He got rid of that little bit. And guess what? No subsequent prime minister ever wanted to bring it back. And there's a reason for that. They're crooked.
Well, think about the scandals that have come and just disappeared. And
Yeah.
where's the press? Where's the press doing
Yep,
their job
exactly.
to hold the government accountable?
Yep.
What happened to the WE scandal, right?
Yep.
I mean,
well, and the ad scam one, that when whoever discovered that went to the MP on the opposite, the opposition,
mhm.
and told him, "Look what I discovered. They're selling for, if you donate, you get a direct path to the prime minister." That's how it worked.
Mm-hmm,
the guy who ran it never made a cent, but he was powerful,
Mhm.
and that was his incentive.
Yeah.
So no one wanted to report it. Matter of fact, the MP said, "Well, take it to the newspapers," and their answer was, they didn't interest, take it to somebody else. It never got very far. It did hit the news, but not like it should have. And that was the ad scam. And then,
Mhm.
of course, back in the Mulrooney years, it was loaded. And that's why Stevie Cameron wrote the book on the take. It was so obvious what they were doing. But no one wanted to talk about it because I guess maybe the advertising budget for the federal government, provincial too, is so big that they don't want to be left out. So they don't upset the honey wagon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's that book On
So,
the Take by
again,
Stevie Cameron.
let's touch briefly on the homelessness, and that brings in the earned guaranteed annual income. You have to do something for Canada
Mhm.
to get this income. Go back to school. You qualify.
Mhm.
I had a lady come to me a meeting, says, "I'm a single mother with 4 children. What can I do?"
Mhm.
And I said to her, "Are you teaching them to steal?"
Mhm.
"Well, no." "Are you teaching them to use drugs?" "No." "Are they in trouble with the police all the time?" She said, "No." I said, "You qualify.
Mhm.
You know how much money you save the country by not having those 4 in the courts and in programs all the time? It's
Yeah.
like a starving artist. What can he do? Well, why not teach some youngsters music or anybody?
Yeah.
Because music helps the brain function.
Yeah.
All the gifted children, pretty well, are taking some sort of musical instrument lessons. Frequencies are amazing healers. Yeah. And you go right back to Dr. Royal Rife,
Mm-hmm.
and where he discovered, after the science community discovered that every living thing had a frequency, he got thinking, well, if there's a frequency that's natural to them, maybe I can introduce an unnatural frequency that kills them. He started with TB, cleaned it right up. Then they came to him and said, "We have some cancer people." He says, at that point, he says, "I cannot identify what is causing cancer, but I'm building a microscope that should be able to see a virus." He did, because he had 4 years of optical experience in Austria. He built this microscope that, until now, we have what we call a black field microscope now. Up until that one, back in the 30s and 40s, he come up with a optical microscope that could see a virus. He found a virus in cancer.
Mm-hmm.
He created, now, by having and you can't use an electron microscope for this. So he would look at the microscope under the virus under the microscope. He would turn his dial on his frequency generator until the virus died. That was a cure for that cancer. They had him come from, I think it was LA to New York City. They gave him 11 patients to treat. Every one of them got rid of their cancer. When he got home, his lab had been trashed.
Yeah.
They smashed his microscope. Then they arrested him for practicing medicine without a license. He was not a medical doctor. He was a doctor or something. Anyways, he spent some time in prison. I think he died in middle 50s. But he was a genius and a brilliant man. And now we have a machine called the Spooky 2, which is an advancing of his work. Everything is based on Rife.
Mm-hmm.
And the Spooky 2 got its name unique. At one time, They named it after something that Einstein said. They had just finished doing a calculation on the big chalkboard. You saw pictures all around the room, and the calculation starts here and goes all the way around.
Yeah.
Well, they're standing at the end of it with the answer, and it wasn't what they expected. And Einstein crosses his arms and says, that's spooky. And that's how they got the name Spooky too.
That's funny. And I just want to say, yeah. So here the guy basically developed something that cured cancer, or cheaply,
Yeah.
and other stuff too, other diseases. And
Yeah.
what do
Oh,
they
yeah.
do? They destroy his career. They destroy his work.
Mm-hmm.
Most people haven't even heard of Royal Rife.
Yep.
And so if you think that the government and the powers that be are acting in your best interest for your health with the vaccine or with anything actually that they suggest,
have a look at
what they've done in the past.
Basically, you can't trust a politician. You can't trust the people they work for. That book by Shiv Chopra, I'm going to that quick. How much time do we have left?
Well, we got about 20 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay. So Shiv Chopra was born in India. He was a brilliant scientist. He was mostly veterinarian. He came to Canada, got hired by Health Canada, and he was put in charge of a team of, I believe, 5 people. Monsanto wanted to introduce bovine growth hormone into the Canadian milk supply.
Mm-hmm.
They claimed that 98% of it was destroyed in pasteurization. When Shiv and his team got done with it, they proved to their bosses that only 2% was destroyed and that it was highly toxic to people. They were still going to okay it. No matter what the scientists at Health Canada said, the powers to be obviously were getting paid off, and we're going to put it into our food chain. They were so upset that they said, we're going to blow the whistle. They went to the press, and they lost. 5 of them lost their job. 1 got his job back. In the following couple of years, 1 died. Subsequently, I think 2 got their jobs back, and even Shiv has passed away now.
Mm-hmm.
And I met him once. That was one of the highlights of my life, meeting that man. And shaking his hand and giving him my card. He wished me all the best. And I said, I just hope I can solve this problem while you're still alive. It's not an easy task. However, we're doing it. So that was my meeting with Shiv Chopra at one of the big health shows in Toronto.
Yeah, there he is. I'm just showing the cover of his book, Corrupt to the Core, that people can get their hands on. But yeah, he was helping to keep that bovine growth hormone out of Canada.
We don't need growth hormones in our food system. I remember back in the 60s, before we had any regulations, I'm driving. I had a business down in Trenton area, and driving to work and driving home, I go past some schools, and I thought, holy mackerel. This is a public school. These girls are built like a pole dancer. And I said, what the hell is going on? Well, believe it or not, I'm also a NASCAR fan, and Junior Johnson was sponsored by a company called Hawley Farms. They grew chickens for the food industry.
Mm-hmm.
He told the story where his sponsor told him that we have to be careful feeding these chickens because they got so much growth hormone in the food that they'll outgrow their skin and die. The skin will split because the skin can't grow as fast as the regular part of the body. That clued me in a little bit. And guess what was hot in those days? That was your Kentucky Fried Chicken. All your chicken places opened up like mad, and people are wolfing it down, and with the hormones. Now, what growth hormone, what it did to boys, I don't know, but what it did to girls was not pleasant. Because I went through public school, single room, 8 grades, and a big breast was almost unheard of, except for some of the heavier girls.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't there. I mean, we never even thought of it because we're farm raised. I mean, we saw udders and tits all the time, so it didn't mean anything to us.
Uh-huh.
It was the deprived children that Googled them. We didn't give a damn.
Well,
that's different when you're raised. It's like a nudist colony. Nudity doesn't mean a damn thing to you, and the scientific fact is beneficial. for many people to be involved in it.
Well, you
Bring some
used
children
to
up.
you used to live across the road from a nudist
Well,
colony.
it wasn't when I was there, but it was before. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It went what they call it got sold out. The investors didn't want the nudists, so they went fabric. They call it. They
Fabric.
went fabric.
Oh, they went fabric. Oh, I see.
So instead of walking around nude, you had to be covered in fabric. What you learn, eh?
Okay,
So,
yeah, Royce. So like what else do we need to tell people about today?
well, I'm not asking for any donations at this time, but I will soon. So be prepared. It does cost money to do these shows. If my ozone business is doing it right now, and it's great to help people get well. So ozone is a form of oxygen with 3 extra oxygen atoms. It's a gas. Then you have hydrogen peroxide, which is a liquid with 2 extra oxygen atoms. And then you have chlorine dioxide, which has 1. Each one works a wee bit differently in the body, but they're all beneficial. So I can coach you on it, but the bottom line is you got to get your pH up in order to absorb that oxygen to be healthy.
Right. I'm just showing the website here, Royce, where you've got you're showing the machines. These are machines that you've designed.
No, I didn't design them, but I had an engineer go in and improve the quality of the parts.
Exactly.
So now I have a 5-year warranty. Everybody else is 1 year, and they're hoping for the best, and I'm 5 years, and I don't care. It's a good machine. I haven't had any of them come back in 2 years.
Yeah.
Except some of the early ones, which I did not have my engineers look at. Now, I got to get a pictures of the other machine on there. I don't have the bubbly, do I?
Well, I don't see one.
No.
But do you want to just so you're selling the ozone machines here, and there's the website, and it's ozone. I'm going to put the
now here's
the
now I also this is our 5,000 ml per hour unit machine. It'll sanitize a moldy basement, a whole house. It's get rid of any kind of odors. You can use it to kill bed bugs. Bugs die because they don't know how to get out. If I went to a guy's house, well, there's my stepson. A house worth $1.6 million had most problems. Holy mackerel! And it was a spotless house. So anyways, they were catching 3 or 4 a day, and finally they called me and said, "Look, we got a mouse problem. What can I do to get rid of it?" Well, I showed them how to get rid of fleas.
Mm-hmm.
They also have a student apartment building, and a lot of fleas come into them. And I showed them how to get rid of the fleas for nothing. A lamp, a desk lamp, and a tray of water with a couple of drops of detergent in. The fleas jump to the light, land in the water, drown. The first day, the bottom of the cake tray was covered in fleas. I did that in my house after spending, before I found this cure of fleas, I must have spent $150 on chemicals and didn't do a damn thing. A week of the light over the water, gone. So he got rid of his mice. His wife called me 4 days into the program and said, I had to shut it off. I said, what happened? Oh, she was up in the house. I could feel some irritation in my throat. Well, no problem. I told you that might happen. I said, so everything's great. She says, no, the mice were urinating in the rec room, and I can't stand the smell of the place. What can I do? I said, this was the middle of August. I said, are you going anywhere between now and school starting? Yep. Got a cottage at Lake Simcoe. You're invited. I said, when you leave, put that machine on hold and just put it in the basement and forget about it. You don't need it that long, but there's no point coming back from Lake Simcoe to Oakville to shut it off.
Yeah.
So that's what they did. Got rid of the odor, no problem at all.
Yeah.
No, that could have been done in a day. A day.
Well, it's like I was saying, I use one of those, right? And it freshens the whole room up, the house up. It's just that ozone. Right. It's cleaning the air, and then it turns into oxygen.
More than that, too. You got rid of all the irritants in the air, but getting a better night's sleep is an indication that you're getting extra oxygen.
Yeah.
So the question is, where in the hell does it come from? The ozone takes oxygen out of the air, or the machine, turns it into ozone, and 25 minutes later, it becomes oxygen again. The ozone is gone.
Yeah.
Where's the extra oxygen coming from? I brought it to my engineers and the manufacturer. I said, I think that when the air is passing past that grid inside the box, it's a high voltage grid, same as lightning, that some of the moisture in the air is disassociating into oxygen and hydrogen, and they don't come back together on their own. So I said, I think that's what's happening. He said, I never thought of it, but I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So there's moisture even on the desert in the air.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what's happening. The good thing is, I think we got 8 or 9 people now reporting the same thing. Great night's sleep. And a great night's sleep is vital for health. If you don't have a good night's sleep, your body can't heal properly. It heals when you're sleeping.
So there you go. So people can contact you. They can go to the website, ozoneman.net. They can send you an email, royce@domehome.ca.
Correct.
And they can ask you about the...
Now, I have a special on. And I'm keeping it for now. That's 2 machines, the bubbler and this black one, together for $2.99 plus postage. And you don't pay me until it lands. That's what I've been doing with people.
Right. And you've
I ship it out. I send you the tracking number. When it lands, you can do an e-transfer. And I've been very fortunate with hundreds of machines. They're obviously happy they're paying me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you've upped the engineering on these things.
Do I? Which?
You've upped the engineering.
Oh, yeah. For instance, the grid can be either a crystal or a plate. They're designed in Germany and produced in Japan.
Right.
The electronics, which was a problem, are now upgraded and produced in Taiwan.
Okay.
Now, those parts now go to China for assembly and shipping.
Yeah.
And I don't have any problem with any of them.
Okay.
I did have some suppliers that were unreliable. Not anymore.
Okay, so people can go to the website and order ozone machines. That'll help support this show. Also, of course, we want to tell people to go to the Go ahead, Royce. What are you saying?
I was just going to say we're going to be bringing up all sorts of examples of corruption. It's just massive when you get into it. You should always ask this question: why are they doing that? Why is this happening? The answer you may have to figure it out. Or you'll listen to my show and others, and you'll see what's going on. Why do they prevent us from having raw dairy when you go to Belgium, France, and England? In Belgium, France, you can put money in a machine on the street, a vending machine. You're going to get raw or pasteurized. In England, they'll deliver to your door raw, unhomogenized, and homogenized. What's the point? Yeah.
Like, why do they do that in Canada, Royce?
Because
it's like
the corruption of kowtowing to the processors. They want exclusive right. They don't like farm gate sales. They don't want you selling eggs from the farm. They don't want you even like. I agree. For animal protection, there should be humane slaughtering. And the way they do it, the animal doesn't feel any pain. They bang them on the head with a special gun that just shoots a heavy object. They're dead, and then they skin them out. Same with hogs, chickens. They pass them through a gas that basically puts them to sleep, and then their head's cut off. So I don't disagree with that. Humane slaughtering is part of the business. Now, don't ignore your animal proteins, especially the organ meats. You look in the wilds, wolf, lion, hyena. When they bring down an animal, the alpha male gets the liver. Every time. No one goes near him until he's got his liver. That's where the nutrition is. People say, yuck, your liver. Yuck. Hey, yuck can also kill you. So
that's funny.
That's right.
That's how I feel about liver. But I'm going to have to reconsider.
We always had it growing up, and actually we look forward to it because it was very tasty. You had the onions, the bacon.
Oh, I like
They did a good job
with the onions and the butter and
nothing to it,
Okay, Royce.
We're going to draw this one to a close.
Okay, great. So people go again to CanadianAntiCorruptionLeague.org. Go to ozoneman.net, but help Royce turn this into a political party. Fill out that form, please. Yep. Thanks, Royce, for coming in today.
Thank you.
See everybody again next time.
Goodbye, everybody. Talk to you next week.
Okay.